What is up, legends? Welcome back to the Warrior Mythos. We're going to be continuing our How to Create a Culture series. This week, we're going to be talking about NPCs. That stands for non-player characters. Alright, so I went ahead and I wrote a whole lot, as you can see. These are no longer one-sentence things. I wrote a ton, and basically what I do and how I write them is in social, as you can see, there's just a really small sentence, just to, make the overall point. The Utati are untrusting of most other races and have an odd fascination with reptiles. So then we jump into their world. Most outsiders don't know much about the Utati, but from what is told, they are very powerful people who create powerful devices. They live hidden amongst the hills, secluded from society. On some level, the Utati are xenophobes, untrusting the outsiders, especially those who show up at their doorstep. Part of the xenophobia stems from their inability to speak common. They only speak the Utati language. So that's what I've kind of done there, and these all go into detail, and we'll talk about today the guides, but first let me show you what I did up here. Description, biome, that's where they live. Culture, they are a culture of inventors, traders, constructors, and blacksmiths. Symbol, I made a symbol for them this time, large metal gear with gunpowder in the center, because they create guns. They're the gun supplier in the region, and they don't worship any god. Yeah. Anyways, so I added this little thing. It's called the guides, and basically who the guides are is they are anthropologists, dragonborn anthropologists, so they're reptilian, who study the Utati. And they've been studying the Utati for many years, and there's 5 of them. And so this is how I transition into non-player characters. One of those non-player characters is Aliax Gentry, and I give all my NPCs like a little nickname, and that basically represents what they're known for. So one of my NPCs is Marcus Scythe, and his nickname is Fire Fist because he can shoot fire out of his fists. Marcus Fire Fist Scythe. So you don't have to really tell players that, but that's just for reference. Maybe they're known for something in the world, like Geralt of Rivia is called the Witcher. He's a witcher. So, Aliax is an older dragonborn man, 58, who has dedicated much of his middle-aged life working with Utati and providing information to them about the behaviors of their prized wildlife, the powder bugs. Aliax is very curious about others, especially since he spends most of his time alone or with the beetles, the powder bugs. Now, I have 5 guides, but I'm only working on one of the guides because I want my players, whether you're working, or your readers, if you're doing a fantasy book. I'm doing this for D&D. I want my players to meet this guy, and he's going to guide them into the Utati culture because they need to go to the Utati to get silvered weapons. Unfortunately, our last session, something happened. They got caught in a sandstorm, and they didn't do very well. So next session, I do not think... the party got split up, so maybe one of them will, meet the Utati, but not all of them. Yeah. Anyways, this is how I write it. This was taken from Ruinsmith. He did a really good video on how to sort of create a non-player character with enough detail for you and your players to make them interesting, basically, and not completely dull. So I first start with voice and mannerisms. So I'm going to do the British explorer accent. I don't really know how that's gonna quite turn out, but very extravagant and extroverted. That's how I kind of think about it. Friendly, excited, extrovert, gives history lessons all the time. So he's obsessed with history. His race is dragonborn, his gender is male, and his faith is Rutris, the god of joy. Stat block, this is, I haven't determined this yet, but this is sort of like in D&D, monsters or NPCs have stat blocks just in case they get in a fight. And right here we have weakness, so he's too trusting. And then need, I haven't decided that yet. Desire, learn about the Utati. It could go more in depth. When you're making an NPC, you don't want too much detail, but you want enough detail so they feel like a living being. Enemy, I don't know yet. Do they like other heroes? Yes. Accomplishments, I don't know. Magic possessions, none. So they don't possess any magic items. So let's go ahead and fill this out. So need, you don't necessarily need this for a player of this caliber, or for an NPC of this caliber. He's just sort of like a guide. You don't really need to know his need, but it's good to know for reference if it ever comes out, comes up while your players are playing. If you're doing a video game or a fantasy book, you have a little more control and structure for, what your players or readers are going to know. But in something like D&D, they could just do some magic on them, and then, the NPC has to tell the truth no matter what. Zone of truth, that's a spell, powerful spell that now NPCs have to tell them the truth, Anyways, so need. I'm thinking maybe his need is fulfillment of life. We're going to be very vague. And that's not necessarily a good thing to do. But again, for this character of this caliber, he's not really a hero. He's just a guide for the players to, get into the Utati city. Sorry, my computer is being really slow today. I hope it's not. It's being so slow today. Fulfillment. I'm not the best speller. Enemy. There's this sort of, they call it a dog mole juggernaut. It's a D&D stat block in the creatures codex. And sort of how I wanted the players to get their silvered weapons is they go and they kill this beast. So I'm debating whether that be the enemy because it's maybe killing the powder bugs, which he's studying, or something else. I don't quite know, but for now we're going to say the dog mole juggernaut. They call it, well, I'll explain to you in a minute. Accomplishments. Dispelled. Okay, really? Dispelled Utati myths. We'll just say that. Magic possessions, none. Okay. There. That seems great. Alright, now I will explain to you a little more in depth the things that I've done. Under the mask, under the anonymous hood, the Utati are golems, fueled by gunpowder, created by the once ancient gnomes who lived there centuries ago. Only a few outsiders know their secret. These few people are called guides. So the guides know this. But if they want to keep, studying the Utati, they cannot, tell the Utati secret. And the only reason they're sort of studying them, they're being allowed to study them, is because the Utati have a fascination with reptiles. The Utati are fascinated with anything reptilian, from dragonborn to actual dragons. The reason for this is unknown, but the guides speculate that there was once the presence of a dragon in the Silvered Hills, as they have found ancient dragon statues uncovered in the ancient gnome ruins. So there's an interesting tidbit for maybe your players to discover and to be like, whoa, this is cool. Yeah. Now, we'll get more about NPCs right here. The guides are somewhat obsessed with the Utati and all research different aspects of their life. There's Nesmorn, okay? He moves with the traders across the lands. Fenore lives in the Silvered Hills learning about their social behaviors. Bakris and Decoria work underground uncovering the ancient gnome ruins, while Aliax wanders the desert bordering the Silvered Hills studying the movements of powdered bugs. So there's a chance that they can meet Bakris and Decoria and maybe Fenora if they go over there, but they probably won't meet Nesmorn. So I don't completely recommend having that many NPCs. Maybe like 3, but I did 5 just to fill out all those blanks in the plot. Like, why would there only be 1 if there's all this about the Utati? 1 expert. I haven't quite figured out why they're there and why they're studying. I'm probably gonna say something like they're just a guild of archaeologists and professors and stuff, but who knows what I'm going to do with that. Political. The Utati have no hierarchy, but instead work under a utilitarian beehive-like structure. I based this off the Borg, so I've kind of mixed the Jawa and the Borg, sort of a weird mix of universes, but that's how I did it. And basically what I did is they have guilds, they live in guilds. And so there's the Traders Guild, the Hunters Guild, and the Constructors Guild. And the Constructors are like the high up guild. And they sort of run the place, but everybody works together in unison. That's kind of how their society interacts. And then economic. The entire Utati economy is run off of trade and unique, large gunpowder producing beetles called powder bugs. I'm going to read you this. Gunpowder. Utati's economy is run by a species of large beetle they call upainya, which translates to powder bugs in common. These powder bugs produce gunpowder, which allow the Utati to create guns and bullets. The Silvered Hills are also a huge silver deposit, making the Utati a powerful ally in currency production. Powder bugs are pretty common among the Silvered Hills, but fairly rare in the world. They are only found in 3 places across all of Blatal, and empires such as the Dominion often have complete access to them. So powder bugs are pretty rare, and because they're pretty rare, the Utati really take it seriously if you kill one of them, which is kind of shown here. Powder bugs, upainya, are large beetles which produce gunpowder from small glands along their belly as a result of eating sulfur concentrate below the planet's crust. Ancient dig sites have revealed that powder bugs are actually a group of bodzar beetles. That is a beetle that I created previously, maybe like a year ago or something. So I based the powder bugs off that. Bodzar beetles who evolved separately. To extract a powder bug's glands, you must flip them on their shell and remove the glands carefully with a hand scythe or some other harvesting tool so as to not injure the creature. Carelessly removing the glands or shooting the insect with a firearm may cause an explosion. This is supposed to say exoskeleton, not shell. Right? I don't know. Shell, exoskeleton? I don't know. And then I, of course, articulate more of the makers, inventions, walkers, and guns. Tati do not prioritize the military. They believe in creation over destruction because they're inventors. And this is a stat block for D&D, the powder plugs. In part 3, I'll go over this and maybe some other stat blocks of the Utati that I'll create. But that's really what you need to know for NPCs and to go more in depth about your culture. You can make as many NPCs as you want, but I really would recommend that you don't go too much into detail because you will get confused. Like even this, all this stuff, I've created so many cultures that I forgot most of this while reading it. Like I forgot that I created those details. So things will change, but if you're playing something like D&D, you want to make sure that everything is accurate. Otherwise, your players will feel as though the world isn't believable. So some like small paragraph like this and then adding all these little things are very good to do. Just very direct. Do they like other heroes? Yes. They're extroverted. They're friendly. This is their face. This is the god they worship. Stat block if they get in a fight. Weakness. Too trusting. Very little things like that can play out in your D&D world, your video game, your fantasy book. That way, everything sort of just writes itself, if that makes sense. Once you've established how this character behaves, everything will write itself, and you will find everything much easier to do. Anyways, that's it. Kind of a shorter video than before, I think. I don't know. I'll have to check. Anyways, I hope this benefited you. If it did and you want to see more, leave a like. Make sure to subscribe. And I will see you all next time.